What's up, guys? It is that Panda Guy. I'm here again with another video, and today we're gonna be looking at some more Island Raid. A lot of tower swarms. I think this is gonna be a lot of defense from us and a lot of RPG, honestly, because RPG was going ham this Island Raid, like a lot more than I expected, a lot more swarms than I expected. And I don't know, man. LeBron and Bay are freaking crazy. LeBron even had his ult swarming at some point. And I will say, like, his ults aren't weak. They actually have T6, his T6 accounts, but they aren't built for like swarming. I feel like especially against like whale alliances, if you're not using expansions, like a 300k plus expansion things, you're not really gonna be able to do enough damage for it to be worth it. Like, you really have to be using those 300k expansions, or those trades are gonna be very bad, unless your enemy isn't able to keep a full tower or something like that. So these swarms, from like LeBron, Bay, and them are really painful. But when he brings Zalts in, it's just like, and it's like the gear isn't insane, stuff like that. We do actually have to end up swapping out captains here. We're kind of put into a straining situation where we're having to defend on a lot of fronts, meaning that, we're kind of putting on some mediocre garrison captains on this side of, side of the whole, freaking map. Sorry. Yeah, we have to put on some mediocre garrisons. I mean, like, they're not bad, but when you're kind of comparing it to players like these, we're gonna be taking some really bad trades, and you see it in these reports. Even in the swarms, we couldn't really manage to trade very well. Even if we managed to trade more so even or anything, we need better than that. We need to be trading vastly positive, and it's just encouraging them to keep swarming, keep doing us damage. And then this is not only just, no, like, I think in a good way, we are milking these guys and managing to burn them out, but we're also losing a lot of people who are able to fill, potentially in the future, meaning that, maybe they burn out five of our players in the first day. Well, that's five players we can't use in the last day, when we need to defend these towers. And although they might end up burning out like LeBron and Bay eventually, it's just the cost that we have to pay to do that is quite a bit, especially if we're not trading well in those towers. It's just so hard. So here's BTW. We had cut off BTW, I think, earlier out, and they started trying to build around. So we have had to keep building in a way that would cut them off, because we didn't want them trying to put pressure on us, maybe attaching to the outpost, maybe coming up mid, or just anything like that, because we knew that they could be, kind of a danger. So we had to put some pressure on them. But then, ANCS and Fox started putting pressure on this tower, just some double rallies. It was, and we had to, devote a few people over here, but luckily there weren't like a lot of swarms. I do think they, commit a few swarms. Not sure if it's in this video or if it was like previously or, later on, but they definitely do put in some swarms at some point with like some double rallies. It was quite a freaking hassle, but, thankfully here, like I said, no swarms. And it just made it much easier to hold, because when you have these swarms going down, we have to devote quite a few more people. And actually it is here, but we have to devote quite a few more people, and it's even worse because we're, really focused on trying to cut off BCW, suppress them, and we do eventually have to push them back through their helipad, because I will explain it a little bit. And I think I did the same explanation for RPG the last time we had fought them. So basically what RPG did is, this is kind of referring to BTW, is they built around their helipad, and, people started feeling comfortable. They were like, okay, I'm going to teleport on these towers because I'm safe now. The whole war has ended. And we basically come and we build around, we cut off these towers that, they built around, because the thing is, not everybody can fit on helipad, especially with such a big active alliance like this. So you have a lot of people actually port onto these towers, and then we come in, we cut off these towers, and boom, they just get zeroed, because there were a lot of people who were unshielded, maybe sleeping, or just thought they were safe on said towers. And it just made it much easier for us to get good zeros in. I will give it to BTW. They built in a way that was so annoying to us as we tried to do this. And you're not going to see it in this video, but you will see at the very end of the video us starting the process of building, around their helipad and cutting off these towers. But they kept building like back one tower, so that if we wanted to, zero some more players, we would have to build into another tower and, burn that tower down. And then they would build back another tower, and then we'd have to, burn down that other tower. And it was just really annoying, and we could only get like one or two zeros at a time, but it was really smart overall on their part. And it's like, I would have done the exact same thing. So although annoying, I can't blame them. And I got to say, rather, more so impressive than not. We do manage to actually break their towers eventually, which was a struggle, as they were holding on pretty well. And we do end up having to drop a tower here and they tried to push it, but we just had some T6 players kind of porting down and managed to put pressure on the field. I think like it's just too much fighting our mega whales for too long. It's like you can't put enough pressure for long enough. I will say, like I said, RPG, we're going freaking crazy here. We had to keep devoting, like, for example, you see Tony poured in right here, have to swarm LeBron or Bay off the field. And if they're working together, it's like, if you're 1v2ing them, you're just going to be trading bad and it's not worth it. And we kind of have to devote quite a few whales to constantly port down here, put pressure. And then we have to port our whales out of here to put pressure somewhere else. And they have to port back down here because RPG just keeps putting pressure. And, the thing is, we could have broken their tower. We could break their tower with enough pressure. But it's just really hard to devote enough attention to RPG. And being that RPG is, I would say, in a way, the least impactful. Like, for example, if you had to put BTW on the field, they can maybe put, let's say, 20 T6 players at a time. RPG, way less. They can put up way less pressure, and they're less of a threat in a sense. Although they were putting more pressure on our towers, the point is like putting pressure on their tower is pointless because they're just not able to do as much. It's so hard because they put a lot of pressure here. They did a lot of damage, but I feel like they really weren't worth it. Especially with LeBron having a ton of T6 accounts. I think he has like maybe 6 to 8 like 100 mil accounts, and even if we do rally or swarm their towers, they're just going to manage to hold that thing for as long as possible. And we kind of have to preserve our energy to a sense. I think that we still have to go on the offensive. But when it comes to RPG, all it takes is us actually waiting out LeBron, making sure that he's asleep, and then we can actually push, and people will say, oh, you're pussies for that. But I mean, at this point, it's the best shot we have. If we exhaust ourselves kind of fighting on RPG's tower, it's just pointless, and it's like we have to kind of take advantage of really good fights, really good trades, and try to just make the most of this situation because it's really hard and we have very limited troops compared to our enemies who have vast amount of troops spread across them. Even in BTW's case, I think it was like a little bit wasteful with how we pushed them, but at the same time, we're kind of put in this situation where they're much more of a threat if they are able to get their hands on, I would say, like the right material or situation. So we had to put more pressure on BTW, kind of drop them as fast as possible. Also, you see here we put some pressure on ANCS's tower. This one was easier to drop because not only was it built in a really bad spot, they just weren't able to march through there because, like I said, it was built in a really bad spot to where very few people were able to teleport up, and even marching across the field or hopping to the said tower is just really hard. And then we also have people kind of sit on the tower in a way that prevents it to be easily reinforced. So we get a crazy swarm on that tower there. We drop it. We do zero one of the guys there. But I think what ends up happening is they actually end up building a back tower after we drop this tower. And, I kept saying in chat, we needed to zero this guy. We needed to get a swarm in on this guy. And nobody was listening. I think sometimes it's just frustrating, but I mean, it just happens. People weren't listening. We didn't get the zero in time, and they managed to build a back tower that actually protected the person. We only got like 1 or 2 rallies off on him and, did a little bit of damage. But later on, we actually end up finishing off the zero because the guy never logged in on time, and we do manage to actually pop the tower that they managed to build back there. And, the thing is, it was building and stuff, and it was much easier to drop at the time, but we didn't really have the pressure to put on it. And like I was saying with this tower, it was built in a way that was much harder to reinforce, and they all were just ready to kind of give their lives to protect that tower, protect that player. But we do end up managing to zero him, thankfully, later on, which was just an overall hassle. Either way, I don't really have much to say here. I think like this is a lot of straightforward stuff that honestly, I feel like I've already said. It's just a lot of tower swarms. It was an exhausting island. I imagine for our whales, especially the amount of troops they had to fork over for this. And you see it here, actually. I think this tower was built to protect. Actually, no. We end up dropping this tower as well. And then they end up building another one to protect Chun, which was just like, damn, come on now. But luckily dropping those towers did actually help us a lot because it did give us relief we needed as we were defending way too many towers, and it gave us the much needed relief we needed because we managed to free up, I think it was like 2 or 3 garrison captains, and then we could spread them into other areas that we needed more focus, or just, I don't know, overall like we could be more versatile, I guess, if we had to go on the defensive. in like different areas, right? Because obviously, if we got pushed by ANCS from another angle or something, we would have been forced to put maybe a much weaker garrison captain there, which would have just made the whole overall situation that we were facing really bad. But you actually see a zero here. We managed to drop one of ANCS's towers in the left area. We zeroed this guy pretty big ouch. But ANCS build in a way that actually protects Jazz, which we end up zeroing some 100 mil guy in the bottom left corner here. They end up building in a way that protects him. And since we did zero drop a tower there, right? But the thing is, it was built in a way that would connect to one of our towers with Fox, and then when we destroyed that tower, it let Fox's tower actually fully expand in the corner. So even though they built in a way that would kind of protect anybody who we might have been zeroing on the top left there, the issue is so I'm saying a lot, but the issue is we couldn't connect to that tower because it, like I said, it like built in a way that actually kind of was blocked off already, right? And then we couldn't actually connect. And unlike when they were double rallying us, it just protected their tower, and it just sucked overall. We weren't able to kind of get the full zero off. I think he got left with like 200k troops left, which I mean it was mostly a zero, but you guys get the point, right? Like we weren't able to fully zero because we couldn't really drop that tower, and it was built in a way that it just was unfortunate, right? And we do try to swarm down that tower, but they had too much. I feel like they do. I think we end up burning this one. I can't actually say for sure, but I think we do end up burning this, or maybe they just defended it too well. We couldn't put enough pressure here, but we do end up zeroing, or mostly zeroing, Jazz here, as you see in that report. That was disgusting. I was super weirded out because I felt like that guy had teleported in after we had been dropping the tower, and I'm pretty sure that was the case. I'm not sure if he passed out or something, and we ended up zeroing him because I kept actually advising in chat that he was online. I was like, it's not worth it, guys. It's not worth it. He's online. We're just, getting baited. But apparently we end up actually zeroing this guy, and I was so flabbergasted because I swear I felt like the guy was online, and I just didn't get it. Though we do end up putting pressure on this Fox tower here. I don't think we end up getting the full burn off. And I think that's the biggest issue. We're already putting a lot of pressure on these other towers. We're already burning out a lot of troops. Even if we're able to put in like really good trades here, we only have so many troops. And like the thing is, even if we're able to get a burn off on this Fox tower, you got to recognize we have to burn it probably potentially 3 times. One, we have to burn it for those the half burn, because obviously when you get the first burn off, they're probably going to repair it. Then you have to get that other half full-time burn off, which is just, I'm sorry, I don't know if you guys understand me, but like, let's say you burn it again, right? It'll burn maybe halfway through, then you have to burn it a third time, which means that you can get the rest of the burn off, without the repairs. Obviously, if they hold on long enough, they'll have enough time to actually get another repair off. And it's just like, you have to maintain field control. You have to make sure that you burn that thing fast enough. Like, let's say they defend this thing for an hour of swarms, right? That gives them enough time to actually get another repair off. So even if we do end up popping another burn after the hour of swarms, boom, they can just repair it again. And the longer this also goes on, you got to recognize the more Fox players that get online, the more that are going to be alert, the more that are going to be kind of devoted to defending this tower. And it just becomes not worth it at some point. Though in this case, you kind of see they're defending with like Regro and stuff. That would have been the perfect time to start swarming again. Like I think some of our whales weren't paying attention because they were swarming with like Peterson on it, but then they would just be idling when it was like someone like Regro or Tom kind of defending without Peterson, which is like perfect time to get really good trades. Because if you're able to drop that thing even halfway and people are struggling to fill it, you're going to be getting way better trades than you might be with like Peterson, and he's getting these insane heals off. Okay, and I don't know, man. Like, this is just a lot of swarming. And they couldn't manage to keep this tower burning. It was just impossible. And they wanted to get the zeros off, but I just didn't expect it, honestly. Like, I could see it happening, but I just didn't expect it, especially when I saw them starting to port in. I was just like, there's no way we're going to get the zero off. It's not happening. Though these rally trades were absolutely disgusting, and this can be attributed especially to these swarms that we managed to devote onto these towers. Because, obviously there are going to be those debuffs and buffs from all these other heroes that are swarming the tower. But those freaking trades were disgusting. And you see more RPG. Freaking RPG, man. The work that these guys were putting in was unreal. Like, these guys needed a freaking breather, man. I swear they would get online for their half a day they would go crazy, then like LeBron would go to sleep, we'd manage to pop their tower. Next day they do the exact same thing, they just build another tower up, boom, they go crazy on us. And the thing is, it would have been more optimal if we could push them back to maybe helipad or something, right? Like obviously, if we could push them back to helipad, this would have been great. We could have maybe kind of focused less on them. But the issue is, we aren't able to do something like that, obviously, because we don't have enough towers. We don't have enough towers to kind of overextend into BTW, into the middle, into RPG, even Fox, right? Like if we could have, we obviously would have, but we couldn't, and that was the biggest problem for us. And, I'm not trying to complain here, but it just is how it is. The tower cap sucked. It was unfortunate. But I mean, honestly, I don't think they should change it. Like I understand the complaint. I had a few people saying, "Oh, this sucks." I wish there were more towers. But at the same time, I understand the tower cap. If there was no tower cap, or they upped the tower limit, I feel like that'd be abused more than it being helpful for fighting in a situation like this. I feel like this is more of an outlier that we're in. Like kind of the fight that we're in. This is more of an outlier, and the tower cap sucking. It's just something that you got to face, right? It's just gonna happen. And yeah, this is another map overview. I will have another map overview around the end of the video. We started trying to build in a way that we could just kind of abandon some of these towers and, build in a way that would protect our outpost. And we were just trying to hold on as long as possible. You actually see here that ANCS built in a way that would kind of connect to these other towers that were kind of near our outpost. And I was worried that they were going to siege those towers, but they never tried throughout the whole event until I guess like the last day. And we just gave up those towers because we ended up giving up our outpost. We gave up our positioning on mid. We kind of had to just start backing up and back tracing at some point. And, I was, like I said, I was surprised they didn't try to push that sooner, but thankfully they didn't, or I think we would have just had a really rough time. Because like I said, we were burning through our troops, obviously fighting off all these other opponents, trying to put as much pressure as we could, trying to get as good of trades as we could to just make this, as worth it as possible. Also, this is a chunky guy. I think we just went in for swarms, no rallies. Everybody here is just crazy. I think everybody was just kill hungry and just wanted a piece of his meat, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think this is like coming to the end of the video. There's only a few minutes left. You're just gonna see some swarms here. I think there's gonna be some RPG swarms near the end here. I think I might honestly cut myself off as I don't have a lot more to say, and this is about the end of the whole situation. I mean, you'll have some reports. I will say that there will be a report with like RPG swarming with their alts, and the trades were just disgusting. That was freaking LeBron being a mad lad. But yeah, that is it to the video. I think the rest of this is just gonna be some RPG pushes. And yeah, I do appreciate you guys as always, though. I do hope you somehow found some joy from watching this. And I will see you guys in the next one. And this is it. Peace.